Good day to you all.
Good day, Ethan. How are you?
Perfect. And you?
Very well. I have my friend Danielle here with me in the room and some
Welcome.
people online.
Welcome to all who are supposed to be here. Today, we would like to comment on the ideas that you are approaching a doorway very shortly in your understanding of time, as you are at the time of the full moon. You are being reflected back to you on many higher levels, coming to the fruition of an idea of an expansion of your awareness and your understanding of who you are because you are moving through many old ideas and energies that have moved through your world for many of thousands of years of your understanding. You are reaching in many ways the other side of that door, the understanding the end of that way of being in your collective. You are working out these particular ideas at this time. Just understand that even with the things that seem scary at this time, you are being given an opportunity to decide once and for all whether or not you would like to continue on with this way of being in your world.
Thank you. When you say we have the choice, the option to take it or leave it, so to speak, one person, one singular person can think, well, who am I? I got one vote out of 8 billion. What would you tell them?
It's their choice. They can choose to continue on with this particular way of thinking, this particular way of being. They can choose to have a reality where war, destruction, negativity still dominates their realities. It's their choice. We would never deny you or anyone else the ability to choose what reality you would prefer to live in.
Thank you. Allow me to play devil's advocate here. What would someone who been drafted to war in some country um, would say, well, I have no choice. How does that work for them?
On a higher level, prior to the idea of this particular incarnation, they chose these things. They set up the need to be put in these wars, these energetic imbalances on a higher level. They chose to sacrifice themselves to allow the larger collective to actually decide whether or not they would like to continue on with this particular vibration, this particular frequency in your reality, or many others.
That is very interesting, and thank you for that. However, the same person may say, well, Ethan, you tell me I chose this before I came here, but I don't really know of it. I have no recollection of it. How can someone be sure that they might have chose a sort of a physical, violent death, but it's still their destiny, so to speak?
Many of you, and we say many of you, not everyone, has amnesia. You intentionally forget who you are to know who you are from a wider perspective. Through the forgetting, it allows you to actually experience this reality in a way that you could not if you fully remembered your entire lesson, your entire way of being, what you want to be, who you are, what all the lessons are. The idea is that if you remember all of the answers, the test doesn't work.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll take that. If I understood you, yeah, you use the word doorway, the precipice. We're on the cusp of something happening,
Yes.
and I see a lot of spiritual guides, channelers of sorts, beings saying that. Yet, when you look out the window, it's all the same still. What would it take, or when would be a point where we can actually see and feel differences in society?
You are going through a period right now When you know you are on the other side of it, you will see a dramatic decrease in the level of hostility and conflict around your world. This is when you will know that you have passed through the particular door that says you are in that state of conflict, that state of being that says you are still approaching and orientated in that negative way. When you have reached the other side of the door, you will see a dramatic decrease in all those particular states of being, in those particular hostilities, in those hotspots around your world.
Thank you. I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true,
You
considering.
are shifting through the idea of a dimensional doorway to a much higher level of frequency. It may sound too good to be true, but those understanding that way of being cannot exist on a higher frequency. Those things that are germane to the level of third density must stay in third density. You are and have been for some years now working out the conflicts and the ideas that have maintained and held you into third density. You as a collective are shifting more into the idea of fourth density.
Very good. Thank you very much for this. What is the significance and of the full moon, but also what's the ability of the moon to affect us?
It's the energetic idea of completion. The idea of the full moon, you have given yourself a small cycle of 28 days, which is a cycle of 9, to be able to actually move past and move through the idea of an energetic doorway. You know and understand the idea of a horoscope, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
The particular horoscope for a month is more of an idea of a reflection of the different energies that are being beamed into your world from different planets and different solar systems and different peoples that are in the mix of your collective. It is reflective in nature, especially Western astrology, of where you are energetically currently and moving forward.
Thank you for bringing this up. You said, did you say a circle or cycle of 9?
Yes.
What does that mean, please?
The idea of your lunar month is 28 days. So you have moved through 3 cycles of 9. The 28th day is the completion of that particular cycle, the mini cycle that you are and have been working through for that particular mini cycle.
Okay. Okay. 27 plus 1. I see. I see. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Oh, okay. 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 Um, there are voices that say that the true calendar is the one by the moon, and
Yes.
not the Gregorian. Would you agree with that?
Yes. It would be a more true reflection of your world and the true reflection of a year for you that would work out perfectly as to how a year actually works in your world.
Okay, thank you.
The idea of your new year should be more celebrated around the idea of your fall equinox. It is putting to sleep the harvest, finishing the season, finishing the cycle for a year.
Yeah, I agree. The Jewish calendar, indeed, the Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year, the head of the year, is the first new moon of the fall.
Yes, this is not done by accident.
Right.
It would be
Now,
more of a true representation and a true shifting of cycles and understanding and being in tune with the particular planet that you are on currently to more celebrate it in this way and more recognize and live in the recognition that the true cycle of your planet in your world is 13. You are in a world of transformation. That is why you are all here currently.
thank you. I'm sure you know, but I'll say it to the audience that this year is the completion year in the Jewish calendar. So there will be 13 months of 28 days.
Yes.
And that also corresponds with what you told us about 2024 being the year of transition, completing one and beginning another.
Yes,
Right.
this is not done by accident. This is all synchronicity in nature. That is why you are here to listen to me speak and the questions that you have, because you, as a culture, as a people, those that choose to listen to and choose to participate in these transmissions, you are helping with the process that you are going through currently.
Yes, yes, I get that. Do you see human society shifting back to a lunar calendar
Eventually,
eventually? Okay. You mentioned, Ethan, that we're going through time. What did you mentioned the word time twice? What did you mean by that?
time in the sense that you are shifting frequency, shifting time, you are shifting your understanding of time, you are shifting the way you perceive time, because you are very aware that you have felt an acceleration. Everyone that will and have and is watching this stream
Yes.
knows that you have felt an extreme acceleration of time and cycles of your planet, because you are, and we mean literally, you are shifting to a much higher frequencies where you experience time at an accelerated rate. So your ability to shift and perceive time will actually accelerate. It is not an accident. Nothing that we say, nothing that we do is here by accident. We are not here to coddle any of you. You are asking the questions because you are at this stage of the open contact process where we can more directly say these answers to. If it had been years ago, you would not have been ready energetically to be able to actually perceive and experience the understandings that come along with this level of frequency.
Thank you. And it is very noticeable that the time is speeding up or contracting from a different perspective. Um, you also mentioned the word fruition, which is interesting because tomorrow, which is the full moon, it's also a Jewish holiday called Tu B'Shvat, the 15th of Shvat, which is the holiday of the trees and nature.
Yes.
It's customary to eat various seeds and nuts and dried fruit and celebrate nature and go plant a tree if the weather permits.
The idea that was passed down amongst the Jewish people through times past was information that was to be carried on to this time period. That is why there has been such a focus on them throughout history. That is why you pass down the idea of Passover, the idea of your holidays, because they are more, in essence, a true representation. We are not saying that people should convert to this way of understanding, this way of being, but
Right.
they were given understandings through time of more, in essence, more of what you and how you should actually exhibit into reality. Not saying anyone has to, but the information that is given through the Jewish faith, the Jewish people, is information that has been passed down to your civilization now. And it was done in this way on purpose.
Thank you. Who gave the Jewish people this information?
Various groups of extraterrestrials and spirits from other realities.
What kind of timeline are we looking at?
You still have many years before the transition is fully done, but you are going to be accelerating very quickly in the next few years.
Thank you.
You are still on track.
Thanks. For how long have the Jewish people been given various information to be assimilated and then spread throughout other cultures?
It was prior even to the time of Moses, prior to the beginning of the Jewish people themselves, that from their origin, they exhibited a very particularly strong strain of Atlantean DNA to be carried down through your people in your world.
and that DNA enabled us to communicate and to receive various advanced ideas and then to disseminate them around.
More remember and have a more open connection to the world and to your past.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I want to ask you a few questions regarding natural health and longevity, if that's okay.
Yes.
The topic of longevity seems to be coming up more and more these days.
Yes.
Um, what advice, and we'll start with a general question, what advice could you give people regarding living a healthy life that they can function day to day without any issues and enjoy a long and um, quality life, a long and healthy life?
You understand that most of the food around your world has been poisoned in some way, shape, or form. Yet,
Yes, yes, yes,
living a more clean dietary way of being is one of the first steps you can take. Understand that longevity comes out of letting go of the past. For when you are no longer living in the past, you will accelerate and you will live more in the present moment that allows you as a being to live longer. It is a natural side effect of being present, acting on your assignment, following your bliss, many of those other statements. That is why they are there to remind you the only place to be is in the present.
yes. Um, I know we spoke of this before, but for the sake of newcomers, could you please elaborate a bit on clean eating or clean dieting?
The idea of sugar, the idea of many of those dietary things, the GMOs, those types of organisms that are in diets for many people, especially in the United States, are unhealthy. They are not naturally there for you to eat, to experience, or for you to thrive.
Are you familiar with the term ketogenic diet or ketogenic eating?
Yes,
Do you think it's a good idea to practice that?
yes, in a way, but we would also say to actually listen to what your body needs. If it is not healthy for you to eat in that way, because we know that many humans have dietary restrictions or diets that they have adhered to that are not actually healthy for them. Listen to what your body is telling you. Do not force yourself to walk down a path or live in a way that is not natural to you. You know, when you feel that resistance inside of you, it is
Yeah,
your body telling you a thing.
thank you. So if someone wanted to make better, healthier choices, it may be a gradual process, not necessarily just cold turkey switch over.
Yes, because many times when you just make that cold turkey jump, you jump back.
Right, right. Okay, good. We spoke of water before, and I've been thinking a lot about water. Am I better off buying water at the supermarket, bottled water, or filtering tap water? Or maybe there's a third option.
Filtering tap water. You need more of the minerals in your actual water that are stripped out through bottled water. The filtering itself allows you to actually filter out chemicals that have been introduced through different people because they do not completely get eliminated when people have taken substances that are not healthy and change the chemical makeup of the body. They do not get completely filtered out when they have been filtered through your various city water supplies. So you still are receiving chemicals and hormones that are not necessarily healthy for the male and female to actually consume in that load, in that level of quantity.
Right. But you don't think that a bottle of spring water is um, I should let me rephrase. You believe that I'd rather filter tap water properly than buy a bottle of spring water?
Yes, because many of the waters that you have in your bottled waters are damaged. You
Thank
have
you very much.
experienced you have
Yeah.
experienced the idea of being not feeling completely hydrated even after drinking one of those bottles. They also contain the idea of microplastics that do leach into your water when you are drinking bottled water.
Thank you. Are you familiar with the Berkey system?
No,
Okay. Are you familiar with reverse osmosis?
yes,
Would you say that's a good solution for filtering water?
yes. Also using coal filters,
Cool filter.
compressed charcoal, taking in the idea of condensed charcoal as pills helps filter out many of the toxins that have been in your body.
To
Or
swallow
sorry,
the
compressed charcoal.
to swallow.
Yes, it will go
Okay.
through your body and actually pull many of those toxins out of it.
Thank you. I'm making a note here. I will later share with the channel a link to a product that I've seen, and maybe in a further time you can comment if you think that product is any good.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I'd like to continue our conversation regarding longevity. What could a person who is in their 60s or 70s or 80s even do for longevity and for quality of life?
Do everything in their power to reduce the amount of inflammation because many people in your societies today have a significant amount of inflammation in their bodies that are causing long-term issues that are deemed not to be fixable, but merely are just the idea that their bodies are acting in an inflamed way, and it's an allergic response to much of the food that they're eating.
I see. Thank you. I have to ask you something. Recently, I've seen a lot of people coming down with flu-like symptoms, whatever you want to call it. I've I'm okay. Um, we know there are seasonal flu. Do you think this year is any different than other years?
Because you are shifting through the idea of an energetic vortex, it is also purifying you. It is also giving you a chance to deal with influenzas and diseases that have existed because the channel has experienced the flus that you are speaking of in recent times, but he has also been going through the idea of purification to be able to communicate more openly and easily. So many of these toxins are actually coming to the surface that were hidden.
Thank you. Would you recommend saunas?
Yes.
Yes. Cold plunge or
Yes.
yeah.
Those particular ways of flushing out your system, vascularly flushing your system, is a fantastic way to leach toxins out of your system.
Excellent. Thank you. Could you please give me advice on how much clean water should one drink a day?
Goes back to listen to your body. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're not thirsty, don't. There's no one particular amount of water that any one person needs to drink. If you're feeling quenched, that should be enough.
Thank you.
And when you're not thirsty and you are thirsty, go ahead and drink. Listen to what your body says. Your body is a lot smarter than you give it credit for.
Thank you very much. It does seem that we forgot how wise and ultimately wise nature is.
Yes.
Yes.
You are part of nature.
Yes. Ethan, you mentioned minerals in the water before.
Yes.
What kind of minerals are these, and is there also a way to supplement minerals?
Yes. There are minerals that have been filtered out of your systems through, think of the idea of the things that naturally exist in nature, exist naturally through the process of water trickling down from their natural sources. These are many times the actual what the actual one moment we will resume at this time.
Thank you, Ethan.
Yes.
I'm going to take some questions from the audience here. A is asking, would love to know Ethan's thoughts on a carnivore diet.
We would ask, much in the way that we were referring to a imbalanced diet, understand that you are omnivores in nature. You are the idea of creatures that do eat just about everything. You actually need less plant in your diet than you have been led to believe. A completely carnivore diet is contradictory and counterintuitive. Understand that your body does get different things from different foods, but knowing this, also use your diet as medicine to be able to treat many of the conditions that you have been experiencing, many of the illnesses. We would ask that you listen to what your body has to say when it comes to things that might inflame it. There are people who literally can never eat meat. It's a case by case basis. Each person needs to listen to their body, listens to one, and your body needs to actually consume to be able to live a fulfilled life.
Thank you. That's very good. And we did mention before, previous conversation, to source your meat from the best source possible,
Yes.
farm, and so on.
The least amount of hormones that you can consume from your meat or your diet, because many of your food sources have been poisoned. The cleaner you can eat, the less you will have the idea of clutter in your body and be able to receive and become an open receiver to the information from your universe, from your guides in a much more open, clean way.
Thank you. Speaking of guides, somebody the other day asked me, like, are guides are real or just projection of us?
Both. They are,
How,
understand that you are more than the aspect that you are seeing currently in front of you, that you are experiencing in the room that you are in. You are part of an oversoul. This oversoul has many different connections. You are part of a soul group. You may have connections and people that have been friends and family or your enemy in other incarnations who are acting as guides for you. On average, you have 3 to 5 at any given time that do exist and are around you constantly.
are these guides separate entities? They're independent entities?
And they are also reflections of you.
If I wasn't there, would these guide entities still exist?
Yes,
Okay,
they may be helping someone else, but they still exist
right.
on a different level. Understand that nothing is destroyed when you go up to the non-physical level, the immaterial level of the understanding. All aspects of that you have ever been in any incarnation never goes away.
How do I put this? Is the amount, is the number of beings or souls finite, or are there more being created?
All beings, all souls were created all simultaneously. The idea of a new soul, as you're referring to it, is actually more the idea of souls that had not have come to Earth and lived many lives in the way that humans have, and do not have the baggage that many humans do. That is why you are seeing a great number of souls and people on your planet that just seem off, that just seem different from the larger aspect and the larger collective of souls that have been here for many, many lifetimes.
Yes, I do see more and more of those.
Yes. because you
especially
are
with the
shifting and
children.
moving into the age where this is applicable and needed for your world to actually transition and move to a higher frequency.
I see a lot of children which seem to be completely of a different level. Are these new
Yeah.
souls? Yeah.
New souls in
Uh,
the sense that they are new to Earth.
yes. I have a question here.
Yes.
One second. What those Okay. So I believe the question goes like this. Um, uh, is everyone on earth right now going through a spiritual awakening? And if how can I know I go through a spiritual awakening or what my role is?
You ask the questions, am I going through a spiritual awakening? Those that are not going through that particular process will never ask that question.
Thank you. Let me see. There's another question about food from the same person asked about the carnivore. Do plants contain poison?
Some, much of the things that you refer to as onions, they're actually emitting the idea of a defense system when they cause you to cry, is their way
Right.
of defending themselves. And you know that there are plants, there are mushrooms, there are many things that you as humans cannot consume because they are poisonous to you. So, of course, they have poisons. They do have things that cause you to become ill.
I see. I'm not sure, but maybe the person who asked the question was also asking um, if certain plants are bad to eat because they have too many chemicals from spraying or Roundup, things like that nature.
Much of the
Life.
food in North America has been had toxins put into it, have been modified to a way that they are no longer healthy and reasonable for you to consume.
So what would be safe to consume then?
Allow yourself to know what things are, and when we refer to the statement of Roundup Ready, look for products that do not have that particular label to it or that understanding. Know that you are moving soon into a season where you can grow your own food. This
Right.
is why you are starting to see a large migration in that direction where you grow your own food away from the idea of mass farms, more urban, more locally sourced foods and vegetables where you know it is natural. Many of the foods that you eat have this chemical that is referred to as budnip that can cause tumors. It is sprayed on food to cause it to not grow roots or grow vines or grow things that allow it to grow. It isn't much of your diet, whether you know it or not.
Thank you. Uh, do you think that fruits and vegetables marked organic are less toxic?
Well, many of them just do not actually have particular chemicals that were used previously on them. So yes, in that way they're healthier, but many of your foods have been altered.
Are there certain types of fruits and vegetables that you would say are safer, and certain types of foods and fruits and vegetables you'd say should stay away from?
We would say unless you 100% know where a particular food comes from, nothing of your food is actually safe. You cannot be
That
100% sure of your food, much in the way you cannot be 100% sure of life. Unless you
okay,
know and know why and how it was grown, you can never be 100% sure.
right. Yeah, that's true. Okay. I have a question from Mary here. When I look in the mirror, I literally see myself from the parallel world, and she, in parentheses, I, see me simultaneously. in this reality, how it works, and is there a way to see more of the other realities?
We would say gaze deeply into the eyes of that particular being that you are seeing through that portal, that way of seeing and communicating with another version of you. See in your mind, because much of the communication that you would experience in that way is more telepathic in nature. Telepathic, not telepathic. Telepathic.
Telepathic. Empathic, yeah?
Yes,
That's a
it is
great
done through
word.
the heart.
You're right. Thank you.
Stare into the eyes, gaze into that part of you until you reach the point where you actually start seeing the face morph. You're seeing other versions of you in this particular way to allow you to connect to more yourself and more versions of you that you are having simultaneously in other time periods.
Thank you. Ethan, I personally had an experience as such where I looked in the mirror. I remember I was in a bathroom, it was quite dark, and I just kept looking. Was what I saw was a giant, much larger than I, male, kind of
Yes,
like an early warrior type. And for
yes,
some reason, I had a feeling that he is me, and this is some sort of a maybe 1,000 years ago, like some sort of like a Gaelic or Irish or French, German warrior of sorts. Am I just
yes.
imagining, or is it was I this before?
You understand the idea of whether it's imaginary or real. Does it make any difference to you?
Yes and no.
In what way?
Yes, that I see this possibility, but no, because when I look in the mirror, I really identified with that being.
Then it was you.
Okay,
Humans, you overcomplicate things. You understand that you can be male in one life, female in another.
right.
You can be large, you can be small, you can be a midget, you can be dwarf, you can be a pygmy creature, you can be a 10-foot tall alien.
When I pass through, when I go back, would I be able to access all these previous or simultaneous experiences?
Yes. However, you only be able to access the ones that are relevant for this particular lifetime. You understand the idea of the Akashic records, correct?
A little bit, but for the sake of the audience, perhaps you could explain it.
The Akashic records is the complete record of everything. We mean everything in any given incarnation or any oversoul. You are not always allowed to actually fully access all of it, but you will have the information that is relevant for you to understand and be able to put into context the information that you have been given. And when we say all of your existence as a particular person, we mean everyone. Even from a rock's point of view, you will be shown what that rock experienced by having the reflection of you, including all the people in your life. And we mean all of the people in your life. All of the experiences, you'll be able to see all of them from a different point of view, which means when you saw that warrior in that mirror, you will see from his point of view because you reflected to him in that moment something he did.
Right. Thank you. That's really interesting. I see on YouTube, on the internet, some people, um, they say they're Akashic records readers.
Yes,
Is it correct for someone else to go and access these records for me?
it can happen, and it does happen on many occasions. Not everyone has access to that particular understanding. It is a level of understanding that you can shift up to and have this experience, but some people do have this particular way of reading. It's much in the way when you go to someone for a psychic reading, they are merely essentially reading your Akash, your ability to access the greater aspect of yourself. And also, when you're way too close energetically to information or experiences, you cannot see these things clearly. So sometimes it does happen to be helpful to have another person read these experiences for you.
I see. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you know of any cultures, or even if it's possible, that some sort of a interface exists where you can see records, or you don't really, or you
It's
just
more of a feeling. It's more of a
Correct.
download for that particular person. But you have the idea of a mystic that you
Yeah.
have in your past. These were traditionally the people that could, they were the outliers. They were the people that were connected to a higher state because they were entranced and entrained in a way to actually connect to this way, in this knowing. They were able to share the information from this higher level that was relevant for you to experience. Much in the way that the channel is connecting to me, he is connecting to a larger aspect of himself in a higher frequency. He is part of my evolution.
Thank you. Do all realities happen at the same time?
Yes,
So saying something like past life is would be incorrect then.
yes. It's more of the idea of a simultaneously parallel coexisting counterpart.
Right.
That is why you were able to see the large man in the mirror,
Yeah.
another version of you that is there happening simultaneously. All those things that you refer to as memories are parallel realities.
Speaking of memories, where are those stores? I think of, like I have fragments of my 10th birthday. Where's that memory? And where's the rest of that birthday that I don't remember?
In its own reality. You remember what is relevant. You do not need to maintain and connect to the full idea of those things all the time. It's there. When you shift up to the level, and many of you will be shifting to a much higher level soon enough, where you won't have the level of amnesia, you won't have the level of forgetting, but understand that this comes with the elevating of your frequency. You'll be able to more openly and easily connect to different aspects of yourself that actually are there, that happen all the time.
Yes. Um, there's a question from someone here that is actually fits right in. A rephrase. The original question is, what consciousness slash frequency do you need to be to channel? And I would ask, what consciousness slash frequency do I need to be on the level that you just described, where I can access more just by my mind?
Closer to the idea of 120,000 cycles per second. But you also have to be willing to be open to the idea that you look weird. You, you have to get out of your own way in that sense to be able to actually allow yourself to be okay with not being in control of your physical body and allowing someone else to talk through you like a radio.
Is the channel in that frequency right now?
Yes, he is more matching our frequency state to be able to bring through our information more effectively. He has had to raise his frequency consistently to allow the information to come through more easily. You have experienced through the idea of these conversations that we have had with you a
Yes.
clarification and a more ease of him being able to actually speak as us.
Right. What would be day to day frequency of human being?
Day to day, for many humans around your world, the ones that are more shifting and doing the work, closer to 90,000. The ones that are not, in that sense, doing the work to raise their frequency and clean out their inner world and raise and live in a more high vibrational state, closer to 60,000.
And getting that number up is a matter of will and exercise.
It's a matter of want, need. When you know that you need to shift to that higher frequency, to that higher state, you'll do the work. You'll have to do the work because it will come to the surface whether you want it to or not.
Okay. It reminds me, there's a book I read years ago by a writer named Alfred Buster, I believe, and the book's called Stars, My Destination.
Yes.
And in science fiction as always, and in the book, the protagonist, he's able, under great duress, there's some emergency on a spacecraft, and he suddenly finds himself in a different part of the spacecraft, but he didn't go there, he just reappeared over there. And then he was able to repeat that until the entire society at the time was able to what is it called, telekinesis themselves by thought.
By location.
Yeah.
That is exactly how we travel. That is how our ships move from star to star.
How did Alfred Buster in the 70s, I guess, knew about this stuff?
Many ideas are passed down into your society through people who may be channeling but not knowing it, being given ideas, and it is passed into your collective.
And that Bester. If you give me a minute, I'll bring it on the screen. For our viewers to see. Here we go, and this is called Stars My Destination. 1956, published by Alfred Bester. Is a science fiction novel. Okay, it doesn't say, but that's the story more or less.
Yes.
I see. Okay, very good.
When you
Um,
shift, when you as a culture, as a beings, shift up to a much higher frequency level, this will become very common that you will be able to change your location in this way.
I believe I heard the Bashar speak that the way Essassani see time and space is that the location of the object is encapsulated within the object and not projected from the outside, meaning
Yeah.
I am here now versus so and so is here in a space, and they're not, me and the location are one and the same.
Yes, this is why we say you are not the same person from moment to moment to moment. You are, have, and will shift into realities where this becomes a thing where you can actually move from space to space, where you don't have the idea of intervening steps from this moment or this place to this moment in this place. They are all simultaneous. The idea of distance, the idea that you need to move to a place in order to have the experience or connect with a particular person. This is the way telepathy works inside of our society. We just energetically connect to a particular being and we send the information and then we go about our business.
Thank you. What can someone is in a 90,000 cycle level can do to come up to 120,000?
Work through your belief systems. Because many people at the point where they are operating in this particular way, in this particular level of understanding, that took me out of it.
I'm sorry, I can't even turn it off. Hold on. Oh, so sorry. Lots of interferences today.
We're having let me have him talk for a minute. Let me dive back in, and I'll have him talk for a second. We are sending through much higher and much faster frequencies through your internet to the connection of those who are part of this transmission. We are making adjustments to us and the connection through the channel to ease the connection for you to be able to more facilitate the connection without burning out your equipment.
Thank you. Maybe we continue the questioning.
Yes. The idea is that you need to deal, especially with many of you have reached this particular vibrational level, you need to deal with the beliefs that are holding you back. The belief systems that you have held on to for many years that no longer serve you in many ways. The things that culturally have been instilled into you that are not helpful for you or anyone else.
Thank you. Ethan, we have some new people here, and they're asking, "Who are you?" Perhaps you'd like to give a little introduction about yourself.
I am an Essassani, much in the way that the Bashar is. I am part of the First Contact team. I am an explorer in nature. I explore the idea of consciousness. I explore the idea of realms. I am exploring through the channel right now through the idea of restrictions, the idea of not having full expression of myself by having to go inward in a way that I would not experience in my own current body, in my own current state of being.
Thank you. Could you please tell us where you're located at the moment?
I am still currently located in your North Pole region, balancing that particular vortex. I am in my ship, slightly phased out of your reality vibrationally to such an extent that I am not seen by anyone in that particular area.
Thank you. What altitude?
I am quite low at this point because you, as a people, have actually reached the point where you can feel more of our energy more realistically. I am only a mere 1,500 feet off the ground.
1,500 feet.
Yes,
That's fantastic.
I am quite low.
Yes.
Initially, on my actual connection to your world, I was closer to 5,000 miles away.
Right. How far were you when you connected with the channel Kenneth first?
A year ago, I was closer to 1,000 miles away.
Okay. These conversations we've been having, were you getting closer and closer as the
Yeah.
conversations went on?
Yes,
Okay, good. Would you get lower than 1,500 feet?
eventually.
Eventually. Would you land?
Yes.
Yes. Is it
Eventually,
possible
I
to?
will be on the planet. I will have face to face interaction with the channel, but that will be quite some time away. He will need to raise his particular frequency to be able to actually have more physical interactions with me. The closeness to the ground and closeness to the channel in general is why part of your technology is malfunctioning because the frequency that is coming through is much higher in nature and causing malfunctions in your equipment.
So this malfunction we just experienced was because of a result that you lowered yourself down and your energy is higher?
No, it's just more of a full expression of my particular energy through the channel.
I see. When you will meet the channel, you'll be on the ground, or will you bring him up to your ship?
I will bring him up to my ship.
I see.
He will need to be in an altered reality for us to actually interact at that time.
Uh-huh.
But that time is still some ways off. Currently, he is not at the level where he could actually have a proper interaction with me face to face.
Right. When you bring him up, would be he in a dream state?
When we do bring him up now, it currently is in a dream state.
Yes. When I should rephrase. When you will be meeting with him, would it be in physical, or would his body be in your spaceship?
When he does reach the point where we can have a physical face to face interaction with him, it will be in a slightly altered reality where we will bring him into our ship so he can actually see us face to face.
Okay. And you think a few years from now, maybe?
Yes, there are still many years ahead before he can reach that point.
Right.
Don't rush the process. We would say to many of you humans that are in a rush to get ahead in life, to get ahead of your experience of where you are currently because it is too painful to stay in that place. That pain is there to accelerate you, to get you to do things you would not get to do otherwise. We would say live more in the present moment,
Right.
going back to the idea of longevity, the more idea of health, listening to your body, listening to what you have to say and what you are experiencing.
Thank you. Questions? Uh, Ethan, have you had a face-to-face experience with a human before?
No,
I
not at
guess.
this time. Not at this time. In a future period of time for you, yes, I will have face to face interactions, but not at this time.
Right. So I guess what I'm asking is, none of us are still ready energetically, vibrationally to meet yourself or someone as a Sani.
No, your equipment malfunctioned when I started increasing the amount of energy coming through the channel. You would burn out.
Right. I see. I see what you mean now. Okay. That was a great example, by the way. Thank you very much. I couldn't even
Yeah.
turn that thing off. I've never seen an appliance that does not turn off. It just didn't. Okay. Oh, yeah. Ethan, I wanted to ask you about a couple weeks ago. I wasn't feeling that great, and then my friend Laurel, which you may be aware of, said that her and I, the night before, were lifted towards a spacecraft
Yes.
where we were given some sort of upgrades.
Yes.
Who,
It is a
who?
symptom of that particular experience.
Sorry?
It is a symptom of that particular experience because you were given the upgrade. It brought things to the surface, toxins, beliefs that were there that you did not know. It was the detoxification process that occurred by having that particular upgrade
Thank you. Um, where was I?
on the same ship as Laurel.
Esasani?
No, that is a different species altogether that you were on the ship with. We
Can you
do
tell
not
me?
perform that particular action with your people at this time.
Are you still there, Ethan?
Yes,
Uh-huh. Uh, you said you cannot perform this function. What does that mean?
we do not interact with your people at this time in this way because it would not be beneficial for you or us.
I see. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, sorry, I misunderstood you there. Um,
That is not our function in the first contact process to abduct people, to take them onto our ships, to have interactions with us physically. That is just not what we do. We are here as the first contact process to help you raise to the level where you can start having interactions with beings like us and other extraterrestrial species.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Who took us to the ship?
Laurel,
Laurel.
yes,
Uh,
as
and,
she
and
is part of that particular ship and your point of contact to be able to actually interact with those beings, she did.
Laurel did tell me many times that she's a hybrid of sorts.
Yes.
I see.
Many of the souls that are moving through your earth and many of the beings that are on your earth currently have had some genetic modifications done to them prior to birth and even during their existence.
Thank you. Um, do you know, or could you tell me what kind of upgrades or modifications Laurel and I received that night?
One moment. Your ability to receive the information that is needed to ask these particular questions was modified on that particular occasion to help facilitate these particular connections and these particular interactions. So
Thank
you were
you.
given an upgrade in your connection speed.
I felt awful for a day and a half, really, really bad. Like so bad, I was considering calling a doctor.
Yes,
I
you were
guess.
given an upgrade. You were brought stuff to the surface that was there. You have decided to continue on with these interactions, with these transmissions. So it was deemed necessary for you to have an upgrade to be able to connect, to be able to receive information more openly and honestly for everyone that is involved.
Thank you. And who were these beings?
There were a couple of different species, a couple of different beings. Would you like to know who?
Yes, please.
There are a few Palladians there, what you refer to as tall whites. There were a few beings from my species that were on the ship, more in a restricted manner. There were a few beings that you refer to as grays. Remember, these sort of interactions are not happening physically.
Right. Thank you. I'm going to put a question on the screen here. I think it's very interesting. What would your maximum energy look like? That's exactly the question.
To you, physically or
Yes.
energetically.
I
I,
believe, yeah,
if
energetically.
you were, if you were to see me in person, I would be blinding to you. I would be blinding white light to you.
Mhm. That reminds me that I listened to Esther Hicks speaking once, and she was asking the being she was communicating with to show themselves to her. And they said, look, and she's in her bed in the bedroom, and then she sees sparkling lights of sorts.
Yes,
Similar idea?
but more intense.
Are you aware of the Abraham being?
Yes, I have
Yes.
met the being, the collective that you are speaking of.
Would you like to connect us with them for a few moments?
No,
No. Okay.
we are not permitted at this time to make a connection to that particular being.
Okay.
They are being transmitted through the particular collective, the particular representative of Esther Hicks. We are
I,
not permitted at this time to make that connection.
I see. Okay, that fair enough. Thank you.
We have two more questions to answer.
Thank you. The second last question is more about how may I, any of us here, purify ourselves, bring our energy higher, bring our, even if I'm at 60,000, how can I bring myself higher in my day-to-day life?
Be willing to take an honest look at you as a person. Be willing to take a look at your actions, the particular things you do in your everyday life that cause you issue or cause issue with other people. Be willing to be honest with yourself. For when you are honest, you are always in the present, you are always conscious, you are always able to connect to you and everyone around you in a very particular way where you are fully yourself.
Thank you. My last question, and thank you very much, Ethan, for your time and dedication today and each time.
Yes,
Is there anything I can do for the channel?
you are still performing the role that you actually chose to do. You are acting as a facilitator for the channel to be able to communicate these particular ideas to you We know that you, as a species, feel like we sound repetitive in nature with the information we deliver. Understand, we will give you new information when you get it, when you're able to integrate it, when you're able to connect to it and live it.
I understand that. Thank
Good
you
day.
very much, Ethan. Good day.